My name is Sarah Luciani, and the international conflict I chose is the recent uprise of hate crimes towards immigrants in the United States. The most recent was the shooting of two Indian immigrants in a crowded local bar in Kansas. Witnesses said that the two men were just out minding their own business when Adam Purington, age 51, was harassing the two Indian men and told them to get out of my country right before he shot both the men. Kuchi Bhatla died in the hospital shortly after the shooting, and Madasani was just released from the hospital and was recovering from the injuries. Both of the men were in their early 30s and came to the United States to work for aviation systems engineering, and both were very successful in that field. Family and friends said that the two men were so kind and full of compassion. Many said that they loved being in America and were thankful for the opportunities given to them. After the shooting, the family of the two men were very worried and concerned about still living in the United States. This shooting has begun to worry many immigrants living in the United States, and even many exchange students are apprehensive about living in the United States and are reconsidering their career path here. To reflect from what we learned in Module 4, this international conflict would be considered a raid/low intensity conflict because it is a shooting, but very much has the potential to uprise into a larger conflict and to so much more. We can also consider the cause of the conflict. Since it was an individual shooter, it could have been based off of the individual level analysis, as in, what could have caused Purington to commit this hate crime? Could this have been nature versus nurture based? Family members said his cause of violence is unknown because he has never had a problem with anger or violence before and was simply because he was drunk. I don't agree with that at all because how can such a crime be committed just because of the use of alcohol? I think that in Purington's case, his violence was more nurture based, as he most likely grew this need for violence from socialization. This international conflict is a great example of nationalism. Nationalism is the pride towards one country, and in this case, Purington's pride to the United States. It seems as if many Americans, such as the shooter, have a problem with the fact that immigrants or non Americans can live in the same country as Americans. The two Indian men were not causing any harm to this country, and as a matter of fact, were very successful in this country compared to other Americans. I think that family and friends of the shooter and even newscasters are speaking as nationalists as well. ABC News put up an article on the 25th saying that the bar shooter was just a drunken mess and this was not political. The shooter's mom also said that he was drunk and just lashed out. Americans think that they have some sort of pride and they think that they're better than everyone else, and they really shouldn't. There are so many non Americans living in the United States, and many of them make a positive impact to our country. This incident could even be considered a genocide. A genocide is the result of a nationalist or ethnic conflict from a disagreement of who is the best state and to dehumanize whoever isn't a part of that state. In this situation, the two American immigrants were killed by an American because Purington believed that the men were minorities and were not a part of the best state. This most recent hate crime is causing psychological problems to many immigrants living in the United States. As said earlier, the families of the two men are concerned about living in the United States and believe that they are in danger. Exchange students are even worried about their safety as well. Kuchi Bhatla's wife speaks for herself about her worries living in the United States. She said that she had many worries about living here, even before the shooting. Her and her husband decided to live in America because he didn't want to abandon the country he loved. Fellow friends who are immigrants as well are now speaking very negatively about the United States. A coworker and immigrant said that his fears have amplified and does not recommend sending Indian children to the United States because of the present circumstances. Because of this, Indians are now seeing America as a whole as a very dangerous place to live and now have a negative connotation towards Americans as well. On a positive note, bystanders tried to save the two men and stop the shooter, as a good American should have. Ian Grilla, a bystander at the bar, is being called the hero for trying to stop the shooter. He said that he should not be called a hero because he was just trying to do what anyone should have done for another human being. It's not about where they're from or what ethnicity they are, it's just the right thing to do for anyone. He said he also tried to stop the shooter so he wouldn't go for anyone else. For me, it was very upsetting to read numerous articles about this shooting. Because of Purington's high nationalist views, he killed two men that just wanted to be in America to make a difference for this country. I am concerned for how this will affect immigrants and non Americans after the shooting, as well as the United States as a whole.